We've known for some time that cuts to the military budget were coming. Now we've got the detail. The Navy's flagship aircraft carrier, HMS Ark Royal, is to be scrapped immediately. That leaves HMS Illustrious as the only way of transporting fighter jets around the world. Plans to build 2 new aircraft carriers costing over £5 billion are still going ahead, but neither will be capable of flying British jets until 2020. Its fleet of frigates and destroyers will also be cut from 23 down to 19, and the Royal Navy will lose 5,000 personnel. Cuts to the Royal Air Force include the entire fleet of Harrier jets, usually transported by HMS Ark Royal. New F-35 Joint Strike Fighters will be brought in, but fewer than had previously been planned. The Air Force's fleet of Tornadoes, essential to operations in Afghanistan, well, that has been saved and it will be modernised. Orders for the next generation of Nimrod surveillance planes have been scrapped. They had been due to come into service in 2012. And the number of RAF personnel, that'll drop by 5,000. The Army is to lose 7,000 staff. The number of tanks and artillery will be culled by 40%. The Prime Minister has also put off making a decision on a replacement for the Trident nuclear deterrent until after the next election. Arriving at Joint Operations HQ, David Cameron knew the defence cuts would hurt, especially here. He turned to face the music. This was not an entirely friendly audience, and he soon came under unfriendly fire.
So I'm a Harrier pilot. I've flown 140-odd missions in Afghanistan, and I'm now potentially facing unemployment. How am I supposed to feel about that, please, sir?
Well, first of all, can I thank you for everything you've done for our country and everything the Harriers have done over an incredibly long period of time.
If we're punching above our weight, why are we spending billions on aircraft carriers just so US and French fighters can take off and not UK fighters?
They will have UK fighters on. The question we've been left is a very...
Those and other questions were linked to the fate of HMS Ark Royal. When it's scrapped, there'll be a gap of almost a decade in which Britain will not be able to fly jet fighters from its carriers. That's because the vertical takeoff Harrier is being junked. Britain's other fighter jets can't take off from the remaining carrier, HMS Illustrious. Its runway is too short. The cuts also mean Britain's ability to field a large army abroad is diminished. 45,000 personnel went to Iraq in 2003. The Prime Minister admits only 30,000 troops could take part in a similar operation now.
Statement the Prime Minister.
He told Parliament he was forced to cut because of the previous government.
They had failed to plan so carriers and planes would arrive at the same time. They ordered the more expensive and less capable version of the Joint Strike Fighter to fly off the carriers, and they signed contracts, so we were left in a situation where even cancelling the second carrier would actually cost more than to build it.
The opposition leader didn't respond to that, but he criticised the overall strategy.
This review is a profound missed opportunity. It is a spending review dressed up as a defence review. It has been chaotically conducted. It has been hastily prepared, and it is simply not credible as a strategic blueprint for our future defence needs.
The Defence Chief's message? It had to be done.
It is, of course, unfortunate. We'd much rather not have to reduce the numbers of people. We'd much rather not have to reduce our overall force structure size. But, we are where we are in terms of the resources available to defence. But we've done it in a coherent and structured way, and we have avoided making any cuts to the combat units that are directly involved in operations in Afghanistan.
There was even criticism from the Prime Minister's own side about delaying a decision on the replacement of the Trident nuclear deterrent in order to appease the Liberal Democrats.
This decision looks like the subordination of the national interest to political expediency of keeping the coalition going.
It's a far cry from the days when Winston Churchill sat in the cabinet war rooms projecting Britain's power around the entire globe. The government insists that despite the cuts, the UK remains a military nation of the first rank. At the same time, it admits a reduction in the number of frontline troops and the ability to launch jets from carriers. The review is an acknowledgement of UK power, both military and economic, in hard times in the 21st century. The Cold War is over. The review, reading between the lines, reflects that. Now the debate will begin over whether the cuts made leave the UK able to fight